We have looked at how to add or subtract fractions. And when we look at these two problems, 11 over x minus 2 over y, they do look like fractions. The only difference is the bottom numbers are not really numbers, they are variables, x and y. Similarly, 3 over a minus 15 over 4a, we have variable a in there. So still these can be solved almost the same way as subtracting, adding fractions. So the steps are going to be the same. The first step, we're going to get the same denominator by checking. We know that these two denominators are not the same. One of them is x, the other is y, so they're different. We're going to find the LCD. If you recall the previous examples, we have numbers here. We always break them down, and so we can find the number in each column and to get the least common multiple. So we can still do the same way here. So for example, x, look at the x, we try to break down x. So there's no way we can break down x. X will still be the same as x. And y, we cannot break down y either. So we're still going to be the letter y. But we're going to follow the same way we did it before, because y may not be the same as x. So we cannot line them up. We're going to create a new column for that. And now the LCM of x and y, we bring down one number. In here, it's one letter from each column. So we're going to get x times y as our least common denominator or multiple. So we are going to try to get the same denominator xy. So starting with the first fraction, 11 over x. By the way, we call these rational expressions, but really if they are almost the same as fractions. Because they have variables in there. We don't call them fractions, but we call them rational expressions. So now we're going to change these to the new denominator we want, which is x times y. Okay, again, the same idea as before. So we need to figure out x times what will give us x times y. This is very easy to see that if we multiply x by a letter y, we're going to get x times y. So we're going to do the same thing on the top, multiply 11 by the letter y. So now 11 times y, as we can see, it's not, you cannot multiply them. We're just going to keep them as 11y. So the first fraction, or rational expression, 11 over x, can be written as, let's go ahead and put it down here, 11y over xy. Okay, now we're going to work on the second one, which is 2 over y, and change the bottom y to the least common denominator, which is xy. X times y. And this time, by looking at them, we know how to get x times y from y. Of course, if we multiply x. And we can put an x here or in front of y, because when you switch two numbers or two letters in multiplication, they don't change. The answer doesn't change. So we're going to get y times x, which is the same as x times y on the bottom. For the top, we're going to get 2x. So that tells us the second fraction, 2 over y, is going to be the same as 2x over xy. Now we got two new fractions with the same denominator xy. So we're ready to subtract numerators. Following the second step, we're going to keep the same denominator, which is xy in this case, and add or subtract. We have subtraction here, so we subtract the numerators, 11y minus 2x. And we can pretty much stop here. And there's nothing we can do about this. And that is the final answer. As we can see, Although we have added the variables in the problem, the steps are exactly the same. How to find the LCD is also exactly the same way we did. And then how to change those original fractions to the equivalent fraction is also the same. So the next one, we're going to subtract 3 over a and 15 over 4a. So this is almost the same way. We cannot break down a, so we will keep it as a. 4a we could break down as, that 4 can be factored as 2 times 2. But a cannot be broken down, so we're going to keep the a there. That 4 we're going to break down as 2 times 2. So we line up the letter a. So we're going to multiply those to get LCM. As you can see, bring down one number or letter from each column. So we have a times 2 times 2. And that is still going to give us a 4a, because 2 times 2 is 4. So we got a4, but a4 is the same as 4a. We're going to go back to the problem. How to change 3 over a to, first thing we want to change the 3 over a to the denominator of 4a, 4 times a. And by looking at the denominators a, we can see that if we multiply by 4, a times 4 is 4a. And the top, we're going to do the same thing. 3 times 4, that gives us a 12. This second one, since the denominator is already 4a, we don't have to change it. So we're going to get, replace the first fraction 3 over a to its equivalent one, 12 over 4a. The second one, we keep it the same. The reason we don't have to change it is because the denominator is already the LCD 4a. So we keep it as 15 over 4a. Now we use the second step rule. Keep the same denominator 4a in this case. And subtract numerators. So we're going to have 12 minus 15. That's negative 3. And we do one more step. Negative divided by positive gives us negative. So we put that minus sign in front of the whole expression, 3 over 4a. And that is the final answer, negative 3 over 4a.